We start with another chapter of a classic rivalry, Warriors-Lakers. Steph goes for 37. Potts floated in a nice 28. Draymond played great defense, even tackled LeBron. I was surprised by that, and so was LeBron. Another Golden State win. His team's rolling. Opta Stats writing, the Warriors are now 13-0 this season with the starting lineup of Jimmy, Steph, Draymond, Moses, and Pods. Since the merger, no starting five has started at least a dozen games together in a single regular season and finished undefeated. I buy that.
Yeah, and that probably will stay alive, because unless you think the Warriors are going to go undefeated the rest of the way. So it's, you know what I mean, at some point that stat will
maybe.
move.
What did this win tell you about Golden State?
To me, it's about Steph. And listen, if Steph has one more legendary run in him, they can win the title. I have not believed in this team as a championship contender, because I have massive questions about the team outside of its top three players. And its third player, Jimmy Butler, I'm not sure what version of Jimmy we're going to get in these playoffs. And so I have questions there as well. But Steph Curry, last night, Jimmy wasn't great. Draymond was, peak Draymond doing Draymond awesome stuff. And they got an outlier night from Pods. But that would have been enough if Steph wasn't Steph. And it would be foolish to put a ceiling on a team that has one of the 10 or 12 greatest players ever if he can tap into close to his peak, which he is been tapping into since they got Jimmy Butler. Yep. And so I think that, not having Gary Payton II is a big loss. They have, oddly, for a team that is with Steph and Draymond and Jimmy, they have no one else with any real playoff experience.
Looney.
Looney, correct, but Looney doesn't play much.
Right.
Kuminga and Moody barely played at all during the playoff runs with the team, and then everyone else you saw last night. Pod's never been in the playoffs. Post never been in the playoffs. Santos never been in the playoffs. Buddy Hield briefly in garbage time for the Sixers last year, but Steph is so great, and Draymond is really just doing all of his peak Draymond defensive stuff, and Jimmy's the X factor.
And he's actually hitting threes for him. Last night he shot the three pretty well.
2 for 4, shot the three great. And so it's a massive ask for 37-year-old Steph Curry, but if he can play at this level, they can win the title.
I do think the rest of their teams are a little better than you're giving them credit for. But going into that game, I said they got to prove, not to themselves because they're champions, maybe to Pods and, Moody and guys like that. But Draymond has already said they're going to win it. Steph believes they have a shot. And I believe Jimmy Butler believes they have a shot.
Jimmy picks his team to win the title every year of his career. Yeah.
Right. So they had to prove it, though, to us. And they did, that they could be a legitimate contender. And they proved it in a big way. It was their sixth and final game on a 6-game road trip. That's tough. It was in L.A. where the Lakers had the second best home record in the West, third best home record overall in the entire league. And as you said, it was with Jimmy Butler. He only scored 11 points. But his impact, he played not a great game statistically, but his impact he's one of those players that goes beyond.
And he was great defensively.
Yeah, it goes beyond the stat sheet. Yeah. He was good defensively. He's tough. He engenders confidence in his teammates. He's like Draymond. Like with him and Draymond, they're a short team, a small team, but they're a tough team.
Yes.
And they've never really they haven't been soft, but they had Draymond and then generally a bunch of finesse guys. Yep. And now they actually have some real toughness to go along with their finesse. So I agree with you. They can win it. Now, I picked the Lakers to win the West. I'm not changing picks and all that. But the Warriors can win it now. And they are actually, Nick, too, a tough matchup for the Lakers. Like that, we all hope they meet later in the playoffs. Conference finals would be great, or second round even. But they're a tough matchup because the Lakers' advantage, and we always talked about this, over Golden State recently has been size. They got AD, and the Warriors have nobody to deal with him. Well, now both teams are small. The Lakers play small. Yep. And I think the Warriors clearly shoot better. Now, the percentages aren't that different, three-point percentage, but obviously you got Steph. He gets hot. Podziemski got hot. Like, the Warriors are a better shooting team, if only because of Steph Curry. They're a better defensive team. Like, they're a legitimately good defensive team.
Yep.
And the thing is with the Lakers, with Luka, and we'll get into the Lakers with their defense and Luka and all that, but I just think the Lakers, we know when they had their nice run defensively, and you even saw it last night, they kind of packed that paint, and you get threes. They're not giving up the three, but you get threes against them because they've decided we're going to stop you in the paint.
And I don't think that's
and obviously Golden State can shoot the three.
So in a 7-game sample, I don't think that's a bad idea. Like
against the Warriors?
Well, so I disagree with you that the Warriors are a great three-point shooting
I ain't say great. I said better than the Lakers.
Well, I don't know that I agree with, like you said, the numbers don't say that. Now
But think, like the numbers say LeBron shoots the three as well as some great shooters. Steph's only shooting, he's shooting worse percentage than Jokic. Who's a better three-point shooter?
But hold on, real quick, if I may, because and correct me if I'm wrong, it's not that the Warriors shoot a bunch more than the Lakers and they're shooting the same percentage. I think the
Warriors do shoot a lot. They're second, I think, in the league in three-pointers.
The Warriors have the greatest shooter of all time. The Lakers' strategy of let Pods, Draymond shoot is, I think, a successful one over 7 games. It wasn't last night when Pods goes 8 for 10. And when Draymond and Brandon Podziemski go 10 for 14 from 3, you're going to lose. I don't think that will happen again in the next 2 years, much less the next 2 months. And so see, it's not Moody can shoot the three, Paz can shoot the three, Buddy Hield can shoot the three, and you're right, Podziemski's not going to have that type of game, but Butler's going to score more than 11 too, so it kind of balances out. Go ahead, KW.
I feel like you guys are not giving the Warriors enough credit. So Michael Pena in The Ringer, heading into the game, so this is an article that came out today, but was heading into the game, this stat. Since the trade deadline, no team has a lower defensive rating than the Warriors, thanks to that lineup, 102 points in 100 possessions. They're 19-2 with Jimmy and Steph in the lineup. You guys are like, yeah, they can win it. Like, well, right now, the best defensive team, that lineup is starting lineup's 13-0, and Curry and Jimmy are 19-2. It feels like, yeah, they got a shot. Like, why aren't they the number one? And I'll put OKC over here. But why won't you? We just saw them play.
Why won't we say they're better than the Lakers?
Yeah.
Because they played 4 times. The Lakers have won 3. If the argument is, well, that was before, some of those were before they got Jimmy. It was before the Lakers got Luka. If we're doing giant sample sizes, the Lakers still have the better record. It was a game that yesterday at the end of the show was unanimous that the Warriors had to win because they had lost all 3 times. Like, I think there is some sample size theater with what you are willing to accept as real and not.
It's 19-2.
Right.
There's been one contender that they've beaten last night.
And I think it's 5 teams above 500.
In the 19
Yes,
wins.
no, it is. But if I may, Wilds, it's the exact same number of games, 21 games, that the Lakers have the number 1 defense. And you said that's fake. And so
I said that's fake because I looked at the defense. I'm like, there's no good defensive players.
Right.
So when a team that has a history of winning goes 19-2, it's the exact opposite.
No, but so here's where I will disagree.
So you want us to say they're the second best team in the West, definitively?
No, I'm just
because we're both saying
they can win maybe they've got a shot.
Yeah,
that's what we're.
But you're very
confident. The Nuggets and Lakers and OKC have a shot.
I mean, this
is what do you want us to say?
And hold on, I'm gonna push back on what you said though. Steph Curry and Draymond Green have a history.
Butler's got a history.
I was going to address that in a second. Butler definitively has a history individually, not with that team. The other guys who were playing, their history with the team is missing the playoffs last year. So
what is that an argument for? Experience?
No. When I finish the sentence, I'll tell you exactly what the argument is. The argument is if you a 21-game sample of them being the best team in basketball, because that's what it is something you don't think they are. We don't think they are. And we both said they're contenders. Right. You're saying they're contenders, but you wanted us to say they are super contenders? You want us to say that we think they're better than the Lakers because in a night that Brandon Podziemski had the best game of his career and Luka played terribly, they won. That's not enough to sway me individually. I don't think that's unfair.
I'll give you this. And I said this earlier, several weeks ago. They do remind me of the team in 2022 that won the championship.
Yes.
You had a big three then with Wiggins in there. He was the second best player. And then
Jimmy's better than Wiggins.
Jimmy is right. So now you got a big three with Jimmy being better than Wiggins. You don't have a Clay, but Podziemski's averaged like 16.5 points over the last month or so. And then again, Moody, Hield, like between the three of them, you've got good shooting outside of Steph.
But what you also don't have, and I think you both would agree with this, that 2022 team would not win the West this year. What you had in 2022 was an odd Western Conference playoff run that crescendoed, for them in the finals where Steph was, again, Steph. And I'll say what I said at the top of the show. I had been not dismissing, but putting the Warriors in a subcategory of contenders. They have one of the greatest players ever who now, for what I believe about these 20 games, is Steph's level of play. Mm-hmm. I believe that. And the playoff Jimmy stuff that everyone is assigning, that I have always believed in the past, I am nervous about this year. Because all of the past playoff Jimmys that we were getting, it was a B-plus regular season that jumped up to an A postseason. This year, he's a B-minus C-plus regular season. If you get that same jump, you're not getting an A playoff player, you're getting a B playoff player, and I think that's a fair concern.
But he's the second guy now. On all those Miami teams where he was playoff Jimmy, he was the number one guy.
But he was the number one guy in Miami and wasn't very good this year. Now, we can say he just quit and didn't care.
Attitude and stuff.
All right, meanwhile, the Lakers dropped to fourth in the West. LeBron had 33, Austin had 31, but Luka went 0 for 6 from 3 and was hunted on the defensive end. What did the loss tell you about L.A.?
Well, look, I picked them to win the West. I was the first person on national TV to say
I don't know if you're the first person on national TV. You're the first person on this show.
But anyway,
sure.
I'm not going back and forth in picks, all right? So I've got the Lakers. I do have more concerns than I had a month ago. There's no question about it. And obviously the biggest is defense. Last night, the Warriors shot 47% overall, shot 45% from 3. And here's the deal. Over the last 7 games since LeBron's been back, here's their defense. It's horrible. 27th in the league, defensive rating, everything, 25th, 26th, 27th. So we talked about how when they had that stretch where they played great defense, teams were missing. They were shooting 31% from 3, which was way below league average. Now they're above league average.
Way above, yep.
But even when we did a graphic last week where it was 37%, which is league average, and that was when they had a big losing streak. So last night, Luka, everybody blew by him. Steph blew by him. Podziemski blew by him. Butler blew by him. And they have no rim protection. Like Dallas, it was okay because you had Gafford and Lively and those guys to protect the rim. Now there's no rim protection. So if Luka is consistently just getting blown by, that's going to be a problem. The way he counters that, and this is what Nick has been saying, is phenomenal offense.
Correct.
Like, he's going to have to go off. And last night, obviously, he didn't. Last night, I thought they had him a little off the ball more. I don't know about more than usual, but he was off the ball a decent amount.
Yep.
All right, it was a lot of times Reeves has the ball in his hands, and LeBron sometimes, but more so Reeves, I feel like. Luka got to have the ball. Now, I called him a ball hog a week ago, and I don't want him shooting all the time. But Luka, you saw last night a lot of his misses. He's not a catch-and-shoot guy. He'll hit some catch-and-shoot jumpers because he can shoot.
Rhythm.
He's a rhythm. He gets his rhythm off the dribble, all that stuff. And he has to have the ball in his hands. I'm sorry. Don't treat Austin Reeves like he's Luka Doncic or LeBron James. I like Austin, but Austin has to get his stuff off LeBron and Luka. Don't act like Austin Reeves is a star now and he's got the ball and LeBron is watching and Luka's watching.
But don't you think last night some of that was because Luka didn't have it. Because in the first,
I don't think he had it because I don't think he was in the rhythm.
Man, in the first quarter, LeBron didn't score. It seemed like they were trying to work through Luka. He didn't have it going. Then LeBron got going. Austin, it was weird because Austin hit those shots in the very beginning of the game and then nothing for 2 quarters and then exploded in the
fourth. And those were catch-and-shoot jumpers.
Yes.
Austin can do that. I just think the offense needs to run through Luka, not him shooting all the time, but run the offense through him, and that's when you're going to get the best Luka, and Reeves and LeBron can play off him.
So I don't think not only do I not think this is complicated, I also don't think it's concerning. Luka Doncic, this is his 7th year in the league. He has been utterly spectacular every single one of those years, save his rookie year where he was great for a rookie.
Right.
His career in the playoffs, no matter being injured going into the playoffs, being injured during the playoffs, or who they were playing in the playoffs, which every single playoff series he's ever played except one was against a top 8 defense on the other side. He's 31-9-8. Obviously, the Lakers cannot beat good teams if Luka Doncic plays poorly. They just can't. Like, they're not. They will. No matter how long the playoff run. Right. It is very. So to me, I was not concerned, but I was aware that since coming back from the groin, LeBron has not gone off. He was scoring like 14 a game or something. If against Steph in the Warriors in a big game, it looked like he couldn't get to that other gear, that would be concerning because he's 40 years old and just got hurt. So I looked at last night and said, okay, LeBron will have playoff form available to him. We saw it last night. Reeves continues to be better than I thought he could be, and I think I was higher on him than just about anybody. Yes, Luka's got to be way better. Luckily, his entire basketball life says he will be. So I look at this game as, like I said, I'll add another person to it. Pods, Dre, and Moody go 13 of 20 from 3. Luka, Dorian Finney-Smith, and Gabe Vincent go 1 of 16 from 3. You lose. Like, you flatly lose. It would have been a robbery if at the end, when the Lakers got that steal down 5, if they had somehow made it a one-possession game. I don't look at this team as these dire signs of concern that other teams other than OKC and Boston, again, set them aside, don't have. Like, and I don't. It feels like it feels like you think we are being far too optimistic. Yeah. But so tell me.
Well, here's the Lakers in the last 15. They're 6-9, and some of these games were with LeBron injured, so they're 6-9, which is tied for 20th. Offensive rating, they're 19th. Defensive rating, they're down to 21st. They're 3-5 in games with LeBron. It goes back, there's 2 things that I saw last night. One, there's a point that you mentioned, Brew, and this is what I thought was going to happen because I thought it was going to be a LeBron-Steph game, that, Luka's just a supporting actor in this game.
He can't be that.
And I don't think that works. And I feel like he gets out of rhythm. So that's one part, it was just a random bad game for him. Another part, it's a little bit of a bad game by design because I don't know if he would have those games in Dallas because he would keep being fed the ball. The second thing is, and you guys kind of gloss over it, this is a theory. Without that rim protector, I do think that part of Luka's game, and this might be just me projecting, do you think that he gets extra frustrated when guys are blowing past him and he's getting the 4-point play on Steph when he fouled Steph? Do you think that his defense, when he sees the ball going into the hoop, affects his general attitude and offense?
I don't, because I don't think he cares that much about defense.
No, that's fair.
I think that's been happening to him all his life, and he just comes back and
when Gafford was erasing stuff.
No, it would help. It definitely would protect him. But I just agree, like I said, to me, Luka is unique in that he can only play one way. Now, maybe later in his career he'll adjust. Right now, he needs the ball in his hands. He's not going to be Luka Doncic playing as a 2-guard 50% of the time.
No.
He needs to have the ball in his hands the majority of the time.
I also care less about, tell me if I'm wrong, because I didn't pull the stat, but that 15-game sample starts with the game LeBron got hurt, right? Yeah. That's what it is. It's the Celtics game. So we are talking, I think, About half of that, LeBron was injured. And then the first few games, he's coming back from the injury. And yet, despite that, in that stretch, 3 of their 6 wins came against Memphis, Denver, Houston. 3 teams that any of which they could be playing in round 1 or round 2 of the playoffs. Yep. So if the Warriors had, missed Steph for 2 weeks and then the first 2 weeks back, he didn't quite look the same, I wouldn't sound the alarm on that either. Like, I think that is LeBron injury related, the totality of the 15 games. I think last night is the guy who has to be their best player most nights had one of his worst games of the year. You're going to lose that game. You just are.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.